The Demon Lord gets tired of being all-powerful, so he reincarnates as an average boy. Varvatos is a human, but over the years he's become so powerful that no one sees him as such anymore, and he's even dubbed the Demon Lord as a result of his might. He hopes for someone to defeat him in battle so he can revert to his former self, but that doesn't work because no one can fulfill that role. As a last resort, he reincarnates as an average boy named Ard. However, his body and mind remain quite enhanced. On his 10th birthday, he tells his parents that he wants to make friends to forge a relationship, but he finds it very difficult as a result of his intimidating personality. Enraged, he destroys a small forest near his house with his magic. One day, he's visited by the mayor, Olhide, who tells him that he can make friends easier if he's kind to people. He takes the advice, but things still don't go as planned. One day, he encounters a girl named Irina, who he later finds out to be Olhide's daughter, so he tries to befriend her. Initially, she avoids him because of her shy nature and experience with bullies, but he doesn't give up. When goblins escape a dungeon and invade the town, Ard finds out that Irina is alone in the mountain, and on getting there, he sees her surrounded by goblins, so he saves her. And as a result, she finally trusts him and the two become close friends. Several years later, in their teenage years, Irina suggests they attend the Academy of Magic together. As a result of Ard's genius and feats, coupled with the fact that his parents, Jack and Carla, are national heroes who slew a giant beast, he is enrolled along with Irina, daughter of a great hero as well, into the academy by Headmaster Gold. Upon entering their class, they're greeted by several students who are familiar with their reputation. However, a few of the students don't seem to like them very much. Irina intervenes when a succubus named Guinea is being bullied by a noble named Elrado. Ard steps in and asks him to apologize, but he instead challenges him to a duel to settle the score. Suddenly, the class instructor named Olivia, who was one of Varvatos' generals in his past life, inquires about what's going on. Ard decides to hide his power during the duel, so he doesn't recognize him, but Elrado is a weak opponent, so he easily defeats him. After the fight, Olivia is suspicious because he used skills that were last used by the Demon King. Olivia sends the class to a dungeon to fight monsters, and Ard notices that Guinea's confidence is brutally scarred from years of bullying, so he teaches her script magic and allows her to finish off the Minotaur that attacks them in the cave, boosting her self-confidence in the process. However, Olivia's suspicions grow and she calls Ard for a private chat. Olivia takes Ard to Headmaster Gold, suggesting that he participate in the Academy duel event to impress the Queen, who will be in attendance, and also to generate extra funding for the institution, but he refuses initially. However, after much persuasion, he agrees. While walking in the halls, Guinea approaches him and asks him out on a date. Irina insists on tagging along, and so Guinea agrees and suggests creating a harem for Ard. On their date, they watch a reenactment of Varvatos' life, and Ard is unsatisfied with the portrayal of the characters, especially his lover back then, Lydia. The day of the duel event arrives, and Ard overhears a cult group planning to abduct the Queen, so he follows them to an underground hideout where they ambush and trap him, revealing that they tricked him into following them. However, they're no match for him, so he easily subdues them, but their leader escapes to the surface where Ard finally defeats him. As a result, the people celebrate him, and the Queen grants the school funding and promotes him, Irina, and Guinea. The cultists then confess that they captured him so they can measure his powers for their master, who wants to take over the world. With the extra funding already in the bag, Ard sees no point in competing in the duel anymore, and decides not to. A girl named Lemmings with ulterior motives makes advances toward Ard, but a jealous Irina quickly dispatches her. Meanwhile, Ard thinks of a way to make up with Irina, but Guinea arrives and makes her move as well. When Irina sees this, she's even more annoyed, and the two girls decide to duel each other, as Ard vehemently disapproves of such activity. Just as the two girls are about to make up, Jessica, who was listening to them, barges in and suggests that they settle their differences in the duel event, adding that there's a chance for promotion to instructor. At the duel, the two ladies are evenly matched as they've both learned lost skills from Ard. But in the middle of the fight, demons reveal themselves to the audience and then begin wreaking havoc on the attendants. And not long after, Jessica reveals herself to be Elzard, the frenzied king of dragons, who then abducts Irina. Ard vows to find and rescue Irina, so after healing Olhide's injuries, he receives access to the royal armory to go after Elzard. Jack then compels Olhide to reveal why Irina was very withdrawn as a child, but he's reluctant to do so. Meanwhile, Irina has a dream where she's a child again, revealing her background to Ard, which causes him to disappear. She wakes up from the dream to find herself in Elzard's dungeon, who plans to sacrifice her to a monster called the Orphan of Chaos. The ritual is to summon an evil god to destroy the world. Thankfully, Ard arrives in time to rescue Irina, killing the monster and Elzar's followers. Back at home, Olhide reveals the truth of their background, stating that his bloodline is a descendant of evil gods. Elzard attempts to use this to turn Ard against his friend, but it doesn't work as he doesn't care. As they battle each other, Elzard reverts to her dragon form, and so Ard reverts to Varvatos and summons the presence of Lydia to fight beside him. He defeats Elzard and reverts to his normal self. Irina is in shock, but accepts him anyways and vows to stand by his side. A young girl named Sylphie emerges from a dungeon after many years, and when she returns to the city, she's shocked at the drastic changes. A masked man informs her that time moves differently in the dungeon, and that she's been asleep for 3,000 years. He reveals that Varvatos and her sister Lydia passed away years ago, but that the former has reincarnated. Gold is making arrangements for another festival that he wants Ard to perform in, and also reveals that the Academy is being threatened by someone named Lars Al Ghul. Meanwhile, Sylphie confronts Ard about what happened to Lydia, but he pretends not to know her, so his past is not revealed. But Olivia notices and gets interested in the matter. Sylphie gets enraged by this and challenges Ard to a duel, but gets scolded by Irina, who reminds her of Lydia. Ard's class suggests that the performance should be on Varvatos' life, and all agree that Ard should be Varvatos, Irina as Lydia, and Sylphie as the evil god. The female students dress in provocative outfits and serve the guests at the festival. Meanwhile, the masked man watches all this and anticipates Sylphie's reaction when she finds out what happened 3,000 years ago. At the festival, Sylphie wreaks havoc and is sent to the maid cafe. Elsewhere, Ard finds out about a tree that allegedly contains an item that was sealed off by the Great Sword King. Olivia enters the Great Sword King tournament and signs Ard up without his approval. The prize for winning the tournament is the holy sword Vald Galgus. After several duels, Ginny, Olivia, Ard, and Sylphie and Irina get to the finals. Ginny cajoles Ard to compete with her in a couple's beauty contest. He agrees and helps her win, much to Irina's dismay. Ard faces Olivia in the next round of the duels, but they both get disqualified when she tries to get him to reveal the truth of his past. Meanwhile, Irina takes her duel against Ginny as her opponent, and after a tough battle, Irina beats her. The masked man sees this and decides that he's not done yet. Ard finds out that the stage performance is based on the Battle of Avia Dessa Veers, which he later wins. The masked man approaches Sylphie, and the next day she wins Irina in the final duel and claims the Vald Galgus replica. She takes Ard to the tree, where she reveals the sealed item to be the power source and tells him that the replica is the real sword. She powers it up and attacks Ard after summoning Demis Argus as the masked man watches in delight. He reveals that he put her under a mind control spell and showed her memories of Ard killing her sister Lydia. Ard takes his Varvatos form again, and the spell is broken when Sylphie hears her sister's voice. The masked man is once again disappointed and takes the two swords to kill Ard himself, stating that he must sacrifice Ard to resurrect his master. However, he's not powerful enough to wield them, so the swords reject him, and Ard takes the chance to destroy him. Lydia's projection tells Sylphie that her death wasn't Ard's fault, and advises her to live a fulfilling life. Time stops, and everyone on a class field trip freezes, except Ard, Irina, and Ginny. They're transported to a white void to meet a boy who claims to be a god. He reveals that someone will confront Varvatos and try to destroy the world. The three wake up in a strange place, and soon realize that they've been sent back to the past at the time of Varvatos' reign. They save a girl who is attacked by a giant scorpion, and Olivia thanks them for saving one of her men. She proceeds to ask them to join Varvatos' army, telling them of their war against otherworldly beings. After accepting the offer and joining the army, Ard requests to fight under Scholar Verda because she isn't on the front lines, and he wants the girls to be safe. When Sylphie and Lydia arrive for reinforcement, the latter becomes infatuated with Ginny and even harasses her, but Ard interferes, and Lydia challenges him to a duel. They fight quite a tough one, but it eventually ends in a draw. Ard requests to see Varvatos, but Lydia tells him that he can only do that when he's proven himself on the battlefield. The trio from the future is hosted by a girl named Latima, and Lydia continues to make advances at Ginny, even in the bath. The long-awaited chance comes for Ard to prove himself as soon as he steps on the battlefield, He quickly and easily defeats the enemy and even captures their general. This impresses Lydia, who finally gives him an audience with Varvatos. Ard begins to envy his past self because immediately Ginny and Irina see him. They're instantly hooked on him. After Verda explains to him that they're from the future and Varvatos clarifies that he's not the Demon Lord, but that is his enemy's title, they all find out the trio was sent to change history by defeating the same Demon Lord. Ard leaves the girls behind and follows Sylphie and Lydia to raid Mevelis, the Curse King, who was the one that cursed Lydia, forcing Varvatos to kill her. But when they arrive at his stronghold, they find him dead at the hand of the Dark Knight, the Demon Lord who swears to defeat Varvatos and conquer the world. Ard wonders why they'll be sent to change history when the gods know that many people will die. Later, the Demon Lord appears to Ard and reveals that he is a future version of Ard after he lost everything and changed his name to Disaster Rogue. He too has been sent back in time to kill Varvatos and save Lydia from death, to sacrifice himself this time around. He gives Ard time to consider joining him in his battle. When Lydia notices Ard's countenance, she asks him about it. He responds by vaguely asking what she would do if she had to die to correct a mistake. She takes him to a village she had massacred during the war and tells him she has already accepted her fate if she has to die for her sins after the war. On the day of battle, Ard meets Disaster Rogue and insists that he won't interfere and will allow Lydia to die if it comes to it. The rogue gets irate and attacks him, but they're evenly matched so neither can win the fight. He then reveals that he predicted Ard's decision and already set a countermeasure in motion. At Latima's house, Irina and Ginny receive a message from Latima stating that Ard asked them to infiltrate the enemy base and destroy the magic stone that is Disaster Rogue's energy source. However, on getting there, Latima traps them and reveals that she has been working for the rogue. The girls manage to escape using the magic that Ard taught them and are confronted by several monsters. Rogue and Ard continue to slug it out until an apparition of Lydia restrains him, allowing Ard to kill him. Afterward, Lydia gives the girls a message for Ard, while Ard is thanked by the mysterious boy. The trio wakes up in the present, and the girls deliver Lydia's message, which is that they'll always be friends, no matter what happens. And as he sees the apparition of Lydia watching over him, that wraps up today's anime recap. See you in the next one.